Alright, we're back on sports, and understand today I really don't feel like doing this because my mind is actually pretty preoccupied with other things, but I still know that this has to get out because we need to talk about, I don't want to start off with the Eagles just yet. I want to start off with what we talked about last week. And we talked about whether the hit on Nick Foles was illegal or legal. Now, we talked about in the comments, respectfully and everything. And, what happened throughout the week showed us more on that aspect of what happened, what's legal and what's not legal. Did we not? So, we'll start off with when you guys have sent me a link on Twitter saying that Troy Vincent said that, Baker from the Washington Redskins was not going to be suspended because of his hit on Nick Foles. Now, remember, people, I said Baker should be suspended simply because of the fact that he said he'll do it again. Not the fact that, for that hit alone, because he's going to be fined for it. That's fine, all right? And Troy Vincent, out of all people, Troy Vincent came out and said, all right, that this was a legal hit and that, that's okay. And we know it's not okay. Now, I will put it like this. Troy Vincent, I'm sure people remember in the past, Troy Vincent has a very spotty record when it comes to him being in position. Matter of fact, Gene Upshaw, before, he passed on, was going to expose Troy Vincent for everything that he was. But as we know what happened with Gene Upshaw, okay? Now, with that being said, understand, going into the week, the Redskins were going to play on Thursday night against the Giants. And this, because of the news and also because of pregame warm-ups, this, Redskins fans, this is how your player acts on pregame.
They'll make the decision easy for the Redskins. Either they sign him to a contract or they're still looking for the quarterback in the future. We're seeing it unfold before our eyes, the future of Kirk Cousins and the Redskins.
And don't tell me he's getting loose. We've seen this many a times in the NBA, and I've called it on NBA players. I'll call it on NFL players too. So don't act like this is something I'm just picking on them. No, this is something that we're starting to see where idiots, that's right, idiots decide that this is the way to get loose. Shouldn't you be practicing? Isn't that what you should be doing? Getting in the mood to hit, getting ready to get fired up, because for anyone who saw the Giants-Redskins game, they got routed. The defense couldn't stop anybody. And I'm not talking about the secondary. No, we're talking about the entire defense. They were getting destroyed. It got to the point where Brian Arakpo had to go on the sidelines and start apologizing because they were just getting run over. And here's something else as well, all right? Because Baker says that, he'll do it again if he has to. For those who saw what happened with the Giants game in the first quarter, what did he do? He hit a receiver who was already down. This is something that we're seeing now. Is this guy going to become a problem, Redskins fans? Do we got to put a watch on him? Because if so, then let me know. Because this is twice in a row now. 2 weeks in a row. And we've seen this a lot as well. Because, a lot of people are still saying, I still, back Baker for his hit. Because it's legal. Really? Well, that's not what everyone else thinks. And I'm not talking about fans. No, we're talking about the front office of the NFL and its pundits on the media as well, because they know it's not a legal hit.
Hit that happened on Nick Foles last week, it seems like that's a hit that this league is trying to get rid of.
And that's why we put in the rule after a change of possession, you can't hit the quarterback unless he assumes a distinctly defensive position. If the league said it was legal, why on earth did they give Tony Carini a correct call for the call itself? I think Troy Vincent put him in the box when he made the statement that it was a legal hit. You never heard Dean Blandino say that.
$10,000. So just to finish that up, Mike Pereira, that to you is something that shouldn't be allowed. It was called correctly by Tony Corrente, but now they're trying to go back and cover up and say that that was an okay hit. So where do we go from here?
Well, I think where you go, I think you let Dean Blandino speak on issues that involve calls on the field. And Dean Blandino will admit himself he's going to want this called 100 times out of 100 times. You don't want the quarterback blown up on a change of possession play.
Like I said, in the rules, and I said this last week, on change of possession, you cannot hit the quarterback like that if he's not taking defensive stance. We saw that Nick Foles was not trying to make a play on that, so there was no reason to hit him. It's that simple. It is an illegal hit. Now let's put this behind us because we have other pressing matters, okay? NFL this week, we saw a lot of blowouts, all right? Starting from Thursday night, and you know what? We can go back to before with Tampa Bay when they got blown out. Or we can go back to how physically dominating the Ravens were against the Steelers. It's been like 3 weeks in a row now. We have seen blowouts on Thursday nights, okay? But that's not all. Then we started seeing them yesterday. The Ravens blew out Carolina, all right? We saw Green Bay blow out Chicago, okay? We saw Indianapolis blow out their opponents. We saw all these teams beginning to get blown out. And it's a problem in the NFL right now because these guys are supposed to be professionals. Now, we have to understand that, on any given Sunday, anybody can get hot. Teams can get this. I understand that. But this is something that we are seeing too much of. It is almost becoming college football-like. At least this week was. And that's sad to say. There were a couple close games, which were really fun to watch. Bills-Texans was really fun to watch. I cannot believe the Steelers let Tampa Bay come back and beat them like that in their own house. I cannot believe that. That is crazy. But within all of these things that are going on, we are seeing a ton of refs. And I'm saying a ton of penalties. Every other play, there is a flag. You're not letting these players play, and it's actually putting them in the hole. It is. Especially with the Redskins. We saw this, look, with Kirk Cousins, the way he played, okay? Yeah, he threw a number of interceptions. But you have to understand that you cannot, look, if you get down by that much, you have to start throwing. The defense knows you have to start throwing in order to get back into the game. Thus, the defense does not have to stay honest, which is what the Giants did. That's why they had such great coverage. That's why, okay? Now, I will put it like this as well. We're seeing a number of calls with referees. It's becoming flag fest out there. Actually, it's not just legit calls because they have an official. For those who don't know, they have eyes on pretty much every person on the field, all right, official-wise. That sees these penalties, and those some are legit. We are also seeing refs now make phantom calls.
Got to see it from another angle to see where he is, but they do not allow the pull and tug. It's 57, Jonathan Bostic they get. Right here, see him pull to allow Ryan Mundy to get in that gap. Oh, boy. And just another phantom call. I mean, he gets his hands outside, but he does not pull. This officiating crew having a rough day.
When teams are already down and they have to come back by throwing to get back in the game, when you make phantom calls, it makes it even worse. And for those who don't talk about it, if you didn't watch that situation on the Green Bay Bears game, okay? In that situation, Green Bay was getting ready to kick a field goal. And because of that phantom call, they got first and 10 on their goal line, and Green Bay ended up scoring a touchdown. So it put them in the hole, it put the Bears in the hole even more. This is something that we're seeing with refs and officiating these days. And what did I say on Twitter yesterday? I said I really hope that this type of officiating doesn't carry over to the 49ers-Eagles game. Now, for those who knew, all right, the 49ers, they are the most penalized NFL team in this season, okay? They are. But it doesn't mean that you need to penalize everybody, every play. And it did carry over to Eagles 49ers.
Gets it out to the 23 and a half, a gain of 16. But the flag is down yet again. The new NFL, where it seems like after every play you're looking for a flag, and we've seen plenty already.
That was in the first quarter of play. And we had already saw a number of flags between the Eagles and 49ers. Now, I had said last week that this was going to be a winnable game. Did I not? I said it was going to be a tough game. The Eagles' defense showed up. They did. You can't even take anything away from them. Their defensive front, they showed up. All right. Even though we had a little bit of a problem with run stopping when it came with Frank Gore, they still were effective. All right. They pressured Cap. They got him off the spot. What did I say? As long as you can contain him, we would be okay. We got Cap to throw an interception, and everything. Like, it started working. Here's the problem again. Eagles offense, first half, doesn't show up at all. And I'm getting real tired of this, all right? We are now going into week 5, and this is still becoming a problem. Now, understand that there's some plays that, that you can't really help. Receivers are dropping passes. Riley Cooper, I'm looking at you. Dropping passes. Some of the play calling, I didn't understand within the entire game. And I'm not even going to talk about the ending part, because as we all know, you at least run the ball along those plays, okay? You at least know that. We saw Eagles fans on Twitter. Y'all know how I feel about Twitter when it comes to stupid Eagles fans, okay? About how, they're going in the first half, they were defending Chip Kelly and making fun of fans who were saying the play calling isn't great. And then by the end of the game, they were also jumping on Chip Kelly and saying, hey, what are you doing with your play calling? So it's hypocritical, at the very least. But understand that at the end of the day, this went exactly how I said it was going to go, other than us winning. I told you last week, Chip Kelly, why are you still running the ball with McCoy to the right? It is predictable. People keep saying it's play calling. It is play calling to an extent. It is. All right? You didn't try to run the ball that much to the left. McCoy had, 7 touches? You're only as good as how many touches you get. So for him to be frustrated, I understand. I don't want to try to hear that the offensive line cannot get a push. They protected Nick Foles pretty good, so they could have got a push for and open up some holes and gaps for McCoy to run. But when you were constantly trying to run outside and take the corner on the right side, we've been seeing this for a number of weeks now. It's not a blueprint. You're just making it predictable. And if I can see this, are you going to really think that NFL front office and scouts and people who have tape and are studying this for game planning, you're going to tell me they're not going to see it? You've got to be kidding me. I don't understand why you keep running this type of offense. And what I mean by that is, you sit here and you talk about how it's a dynamic offense. All right? Yet in the first half, when you know you were having problems, you are not trying to make a statement and go with the hurry up. To show, hey, let's get some early points on the board. Special teams and defense did everything. The Eagles leaned on their special teams and defense all game. And a lot of people, and this is where you have a problem. Because you had Eagles fans who were complacent with first half. Oh, don't worry about it. Y'all know we're a second half team and blah, blah, blah. If that is your mentality going into a football game, because as we know, you got to play all 4 quarters. The Eagles didn't show up. The offense didn't show up until about, 3 to 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter? Too late. But it seems like Eagles fans have become complacent because this is what they're used to seeing. That doesn't make it right. It is a problem. And in the NFL, when you are playing tough, high-profile teams like the 49ers, you're going to run into some problems. So did the 49ers play great? No, they didn't. Not by any means, okay? And Niners fans wanted me today to come on video and blast the 49ers. I'm not going to do that, though. They won the game. They showed up. They did. They played a hard-fought game. But people, you cannot sit here and get complacent with Eagles offense and saying, this is just run-of-the-mill. This is what we're used to. You shouldn't get used to this. But yet, I'm wrong for saying that, right? I'm wrong for saying that. It is a play-calling problem. I'm saying it. If you don't like it, there's the door. It's that simple, man. How can you sit here and watch a game and not see these things? I'm just wondering. But, of course, you're always going to have people who are going to defend the organization regardless, because everything the organization does is rainbows and ponies and everything else. I don't understand these type of Eagles fans at all. They're enablers. Just like we saw earlier this year with Phillies fans. Enablers. No way should you get complacent. The team played piss poor on offense, all right? Receivers were open. Nick Foles is missing target after target. In the first half, he had a number of receivers open, and he couldn't hit them. Overthrowing them. You gotta let him, deal with that. That's on him. You gotta let him hang his hat on that. It's not one of those things where he was pressured. And no, Nick Foles, if you saw the first quarter of the game, Nick Foles had all day to throw. All day. No pressure was getting to him. He was sitting back there pretty. So there's no excuse why he couldn't make those throws. You want to say he missed one throw or so? Okay, because, you got to get in rhythm. Because now you're in a live game as opposed to practice or whatever. I understand that, all right? But after a while, you keep missing, you're, underthrowing players, you're overleading players, you're overthrowing them, and no way. Like I said, it's not just the quarterback, though, because, like I said, receivers were dropping passes. But there is no way that you sit here and you start off pass happy. That you cannot get that pass happy in a game. And look, we are not in a situation in that game where we are down by so much where you have to keep passing that much. If you want McCoy to get out of his funk, get his frustration, you have to keep feeding him the ball. To sit here at the end of the game and not trust, for those who say the best running back in the league, you have 2 plays, all right, because it's on 3rd down. You gonna tell me you can't spend one of those downs running the ball? Nobody's thinking that Nick Foles can run. He's not that athletic. So the defense doesn't have to stay honest in that situation where you can play action or he can quarterback option. All right? He's not fast enough to do that. No, the defenses aren't worried about that. But you're going to tell me that you're not going to at least try one run play to see if you can get something going. That is a bad mistake. A very bad mistake. And it cost us the game. And the thing is, even though they didn't score, they still had a chance. A minute or so left? Because it was bad, clock management by the San Francisco 49ers at the end. So we had another chance to win this game, and they didn't get it done. But you should know your opportunities, they're few and far between. Sometimes, especially in games. There's times the Eagles, like I said, will hang up 40 points on you, and there's days where the Eagles will play the way they did this week. Well, let's just say yesterday. It happens. But you still have to make light of your opportunities. You have to bank on those. Because you don't know when you're going to get them again. The Eagles offense did not show up. Everybody, Eagles fans, have every right to be upset about that. Because now, like I said, we're going into week 5. There's no excuses. It's one thing, it's like 1 week, okay. 2 weeks, okay. Some people say, Nick Foles had a bad game, and now y'all want to call him trash. It's not about that. It's not. This was a statement game. If we beat the 49ers, do you know what that means? First off, it would have made us 4-0. I'm not really worried about the record, okay? But for a high-profile team to play against the 49ers, regardless how bad they were struggling throughout, this season, that would have set the tone. It really would have. But now we're looking at 3-1 instead of 4-0. I'm not mad about it, all right? But understand that, you can be critical of your team. You can. Now, I do want to speak about more football. I want to talk about Bill Simmons. Now, for those who don't know, Bill Simmons came out and said that Roger Goodell is a liar. Now, for those who did not hear what Bill Simmons said on his podcast, I will put the link in the info bar for you, okay? So that you can hear what he said. And he dared ESPN, all right, dared them to do something. Because, let's be honest here, what Bill Simmons said is what we're all saying. Roger Goodell is a liar, and he knows he's a liar. He sidesteps everything. But yet, when Bill Simmons says it, it's a problem. Now, a lot of people are saying that, this is more of an issue of who's in charge. He dared ESPN to do something, so they did. A lot of people are saying that, okay? However, what he said was not out of bounds. It wasn't. And I put it like this. If you're going to suspend Bill Simmons for his remarks on Roger Goodell over the whole, over the Ray Rice incident, you do realize there's going to be people out there who are going to say, well, suspending Bill Simmons just shows that ESPN really doesn't care about domestic violence. People are going to say that. But yet, I guess ESPN's not thinking about that at the time. It's amazing how they still are talking about this issue. And here's the thing. This week was actually a really light week for the NFL. They kept trying to push it, and people was like, I don't really want to talk about it. Let's talk about football. It was actually really interesting to see that they tried to keep pushing the issue, and no one was really talking about it. They're not going to let it take over the sport. But once again, ESPN, you're still not doing your jobs. You know what? I'm not going to touch that. Just the fact that you suspended Bill Simmons says enough. You understand that Bill Simmons is big enough where he can survive off of blogs, off of his own thing. He can go to another network at this point. You understand that, right? And as much as people don't like Bill Simmons or are critical of Bill Simmons, he still has that clout. So you have to do something about it. Now, I do want to move on. Okay, I want to talk about Flyers hockey. Because for those who have not been seeing the preseason, because we're back. We're back in full Flyers mode as far as I'm concerned. The preseason has been really well, all right? We've won more games already in this preseason than we did last preseason, so you can't complain, all right? But I will put it like this, okay? Playing against the Capitals, I've seen a number of guys who are trying to make a name for themselves, but all they want to do is instigate and fight. And this is during preseason. Come on, you don't need this during preseason. And we're talking about guys who are boarding and all of a sudden wanting to fight everybody. No, you can't have this during the Capitals game. You can't. All right? And to come into Philadelphia and act that way, I'm surprised fans didn't do anything more about it.
It's center ice, and the Flyers come up with it. Here's Lear. It's passed for Maters. It's offside, and then Maters dumps the Capitals don't like that. The gloves are down, and here we go. Greg Maters getting the right and free here as he's going up against Liam O'Brien. And Maters getting most of the punches in as they both got to the ice. O'Brien was very physical in the rookie game played between these two clubs.
So, soft, sensitive Capitals, you come after a guy, you get hit, and then you get mad because you didn't get the receiving, because you were on the receiving end of the hit? Is that how that works? And then you want to fight about it. And then you have guys, like I said before, who board our players and then start punching them right afterwards.
Yeah, 2 minutes rest.
2 minutes rest. Yeah. Oh, big hit on Shen. He gets knocked down. Flops a little, gets back up, and he's ready to trade with Mitchell. And so they will. Braden Shen has his jersey pulled up over his head, so they're going to have to break this one up. Once the jersey goes up, they have to break the fight up. Garrett Mitchell.
So Capitals fans, board a guy that's clearly illegal, start a fight, right? You gonna say he doesn't have, every right to be, upset? I mean, let's be honest here. That can cause a concussion. But one of your players gets in the middle of a collision, is on the receiving end of it, you get sensitive and want to fight. You know what? I cannot wait. I really hope that 76, I hope he makes the roster, all right? Because I want to see him go up against, I want to see him try that with Ronaldo. I want to see him try that with Simmons. I guarantee you they'll tear his ass up. He'll try to sit here and try to act tough. In a preseason game, come on, bruh. It's preseason. No one's trying to really get into it. I'm saying you trying to set the tone and make a name for yourself. But I'm not trying to hear that in preseason when people are come on, let's be honest here. Players take off on preseason. It's very light on preseason due to the fact that, they don't want to get hurt before the season starts. That's what this is about. And you bored a guy? Are you serious? You know what? I want to move on. I really do. I want to talk about basketball real quick before I end this video, okay? And it's some good news, all right? For those who do not know, all right, with basketball, a church pastor in Chicago has gotten two gangs together, that's right, who were at each other's throats, to lay down their weapons, to lay down their hatred, and play basketball. That's right. It became such an impactful move in Chicago that the NBA themselves took notice. Now, I've done many videos on this before about how basketball can save lives and how it actually does help if you invest into these playgrounds. Have I not? I've also given Chicago a number of shout-outs on here because of the way they have their playground system when it comes to their money management and how, it affects everything. Like I said, I've shown you shirts. The one shirt I had on, shoot hoops, baskets not guns? That's from Chicago. So it goes to show you that these people really do believe in Chicago. They believe that basketball can save their community. It's about people believing in it. But it's a good first step. It really is. I'm happy to see that. I'm just sad that it hasn't taken off. And though the NBA has given it notice, you have to understand that the NBA could do a lot more. Their sponsors could do a lot more. This shouldn't just be towards Chicago. They should be doing this everywhere. But it seems like either people aren't doing it, or people are doing it, and they're not getting that attention. Why hasn't it been done in Philadelphia? Why hasn't it been done in New York? Why hasn't it been done in every state in this country? Matter of fact, any place that has gang violence, why hasn't it been done there? You have to start looking at it. Even though, like I said, Chicago, it seems like every time I talk about these issues, Chicago is at the forefront to do something well. Shouts to Chicago. Seriously. You guys are putting in a lot of work over there. And it seems like you're ahead of the curve. It does. I just wish that we would see this more everywhere else. Because why not? We have enough people screaming, let's tear down the courts because they bring violence, but we don't have enough people to say, let's rebuild up those courts to keep people off the streets. We don't have enough people. We have more naysayers than we do people trying to be positive. But I guess that, that's how it's going to go until somebody does something about it. Chicago mayor, I believe, also took notice too. Why hasn't our mayor taken notice? Why hasn't any other mayor taken notice? Like I said, you should know, when you are a big sports community, you can use sports towards your advantage. You can. It just seems like people don't want to do that. But hopefully, this is a great example, and it will go further.